It's 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to the order. We'll do roll call. Mary?
Here.
Travis?
Here.
Matt?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Stacy?
Here.
Was the meeting properly noticed?
The meeting was properly noticed. Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First up, we have our Spotlight on Learning, Asa Clark Middle School.
All right, good evening. We're excited to share a little bit about our makerspace evolution and the impact that that has had on the curriculum. If you take yourself back to the year 2020, you might automatically think of COVID, but we at ASA think about when our brand new spaces opened from the renovation referendum that was passed in 2017. Part of that was a brand new makerspace and a lot of technology that has been in place at PLE and Horizon and now at ASA, which has forced us to kind of evolve our curriculum to best align with student interest and the exposure that students have at the younger grades. So tonight I have Scott Rail and Kate Fruth here to present on a new course that started this school year called STEAM Design, and a little bit of background and forward thinking as far as where we're going with our makerspace.
Hello, I'm sure many of you, or you probably know who I am. I'm Scott Rail. I've been in the district. This is my, surprised to say, 20th year teaching here in the district, so welcome.
Hi, I'm Kate Fruth. This is my 6th year teaching at the district. So.
All right, so looking at, do we have a clicker? Or? Right in front of us. Okay. All right, so looking at, I know that Cady gave a little bit of an introduction into what is STEAM design. Always like to give a little bit of a historical perspective about some of the things that we have done before we start jumping into what we are doing now. So historically, prior to that 2020 referendum, there is a class that was taught here for a very long time called 20th century. Was it 20th or 21st?
21st century.
21st, that's a typo, my bad. 21st century skills, because we're not going
We're
back
about
to
100 years past that.
That's
That's all.
2000. So that was a class called 21st Century Skills, and that was a class that really relied on a lot of like developing and designing using Microsoft Office, trying to get people into like the Microsoft suite and what else that we can do. So the projects in Publisher, projects in Excel, projects in some of those things. So then what we did in the 2020 referendum when that passed was we were able to, with the benefit of the community, we added that ACMS makerspace, and we decided at the time to create this class called Code to Create. So we went from a required class of 21st century skills to a required class of Code to Create, because at the time, 6 years ago, coding was definitely at the forefront of what it is that we needed to do. So we thought that was a great opportunity to make sure that everybody was able to dabble in a little bit of coding. However, that continued to evolve. When we started to look at the new curriculum updates in the 2025 school year, we started to look at, well, is this Code to Create, is that a good required class for us? So we started to think about what are some of the potential changes. And from 2020 all the way through 2024, one of the common questions that we would get as STEAM Explorer teachers, the 6th grade class that leads into this, is we would get questions like, what comes after STEAM Explorer? And we'd say, well, you can get all of these classes within our CTE field, but there was never really like, what is directly next after STEAM Explorer? So then we decided to create this class of STEAM Design, which was a direct connection using the makerspace tools. For those who have had like either kids who have been in the 6th grade STEAM Explorer class, what the kids did was that they would spend a lot of time designing for all the tools and the machines in the makerspace, and then 2-3 weeks later, poof, they magically appeared in front of them. The running of the jobs was what we did as the teachers, so it was a lot of work on our end, but they did all of the designing. So what we wanted to do was, well, how can we now put all of this in the hands of the student? Not just designing for the tools, but can we actually have them running the machines themselves? So putting their own jobs on the laser engraver, on the large format printers, the CNC routers, the 3D printers, the vinyl cutters, and all of that, having them create and put their own work on on the machines themselves. So that was kind of the crux of why we created this, and the very last bullet on here says that there is a direct connection to the PHS STEAM design. Because going into next year, that is one of the new courses that will be on the PHS high school, I guess, the course description guide. I saw this as a parent of a dad with a going into 9th grader. I was able to see it, and my own son is super excited about that class, because that is a class that not only takes what we do in ASA STEAM design, but then using the higher end software as well. So learning way more than just Tinkercad and Google Drawing and Inventables, going much deeper in the software realm as what we do here. So that's why we create STEAM design. The next piece that we have is, how did this happen? So Kate and then also Sarah Miller and I, we collaborated in the development of this class. We emphasized the standards about what it is that we can do, trying to bridge the gap between business, art, and the tech and engineering standards. And we created basically 2 main units. The first unit was designing using machines. So it's creating that and then learning how to use the machines and how to operate them. With the second unit, which is what Kate will talk a lot more about, is the business ventures unit, about how can we connect this into either an online or a physical business as well. So this professional learning community and the collaboration between our departments was extremely beneficial. Being in a department of pretty much one at Asa Clark Middle School, sometimes it's hard because I feel like I'm on a silo, but this was a collaborative, very good team approach and trying to develop it using all of the standards within our 3 areas. After we ended up getting the approval and we started working, we realized, how are we going to actually teach this to kids, which was daunting. So we created a bunch of tutorials, and looking at the tutorials, that was something where we spent a lot of time creating them, video tutorials about like all these different steps about how you take your design and you put it on the actual machines themselves. We created a STEAM design presentation, which emphasized our design learning with the design, create, evaluate. So we have that as part of our STEAM design presentation. And we have packets, which are linked on this presentation, that directly takes the sketches, which you'll see in a little bit, and directly connects to the rubrics of the class as well. So on the slides in front of you here, these are the pieces, and through the generosity of the Board of Education as well as the Pewaukee community, we were able to get a lot of these machines directly in our classes. So looking at the vinyl cutter, we have been able to have that in the makerspace, but now both Kate and I have one of those in our classroom to really support this level of learning and the Create graduate profile. The printer vinyl cutter is a new one that we also have. We have a plethora of 3D printers. We were able to upgrade our Dremel 3D printers and get some of the Bamboo 3D printers, which is more industry leading and they're amazing. And you can do like multi-print filament, which is awesome to see. Using the large format printers in our room, the laser engraver, we have a very high powered CO2 laser, the Epilogue laser that's both at the high school and here, but we wanted something that we trust the kids to use. So therefore we ended up getting the X-Tool laser, which is a really cool thing so that the kids were able to put that in, and it's directly in our classroom spaces as well. And then also allowing some kids to be able to use the CNC routers that we have, so you can see the equipment, the software, and the machine hardware that all of the kids who have taken this class have had direct exposure to and have learned how to use. So what we did here is we start, as we always do through the design process, is we start with sketches. And you can see that these are sketches. It's maybe difficult to see because those are pictures using a Chromebook webcam. But those are pictures that the students created, and as we always do, it's start with 3 sketches, because your first sketch might not be your best one, and then we can then try and create products from there. So looking at these sketches, you can see my little signature on all of them about trying to approve it, because they have to confer with me and we discuss it, and I maybe give feedback or send them back to the drawing board to try and make it so that it will be something that can be designed. After the sketches, it would then move to design. Now these are all physical designs that the students have created, and you can see the 3D printing one in the top left, the poster, the large format printer in the middle top, the laser in the top right, the bottom left or the bottom right was the vinyl cutter, and the bottom left was created for the printer vinyl cutter combo. So those were all created by current students who are in this class. And after that, then once they've made their design, there are some products, and I come bearing gifts. So you are certainly welcome to take some of these as well. So I'm going to hand some of these out, and then I'll come back to the mic and talk about it. So feel free to take one and then pass it along. You can each grab one. These logos right here. I'm going to start these on this side. My apologies, I don't have enough. So I'm going to start with you, Stacey. Pass these along. Take a look at them. I'll walk them over. I'm going to go. You can grab those. So I love feeling like Oprah, so of course had to put that gift on there. So you get a prize, and all of you get a prize.
There you go.
So looking at the ones that I started by giving to Mary, that is a product. It is almost like a fidget, and a middle school student created that from scratch using Tinkercad. So when you look at this product, it is something that, now admittedly, he took a model, he looked at something that was there, and then he was able to try and design it and create it, and then he printed it himself. So it is something that he really enjoys and appreciates. My apologies, administrators, I don't know if I have enough. I would like to potentially prioritize the board members getting one of them.
Pass it on, Anthony.
Spoken like a prior board member.
I couldn't stop playing with it.
So maybe I can print a few more for you if you want to stop
We know
by
where you
my
work.
classroom on the next learning walk. You can maybe grab one of those. But so there's the 3D printing. There is, I handed to Stacey, and moving the other direction, the Pewaukee Pirate logo, which is something that was created with the football icon. I mean, that is something where you can see that was created using the vinyl printer combo, 100% self-designed using Google Drawing, and then printed on our printer vinyl cutter combo. Starting with our high schoolers, those little red vinyl pieces was something where we have different laser engraved files that the kids have created and that they have used as well. So all of those are products and projects that the students have created to just learn the machines. So some of them you might ask questions like, well, doesn't this look just like a copyrighted image? Well, this is something that they are using the machines, and it is personal. They're going to take it home, and the whole purpose in the standard is let's learn how to design and use the machines. Beyond that, when Kate starts talking, it's about how can we then incorporate this into a business, and that's where we went into when we went to What's Next.
Thanks. It's not easy following Oprah, but I am going to do my best. As we learned, as Scott mentioned, this class was brand new to us this year. So we were not sure how quickly students were going to get through these tutorials and learn how to utilize these machines at a proficient level. And what we found was that kiddos were ending their process, finishing all of their work at much different places. Some kids just flew through all of these machines and design processes, while others needed a little more time. So we created a bridge activity between the two units of study, and we created a choice board for that purpose. A choice board works very well here because this allows students to choose which activities they want to do to continue to extend their learning. Some kids had enough time to do all three options on the choice board, whereas some might have only had the opportunity to do one, but they could choose something that they connected to and something that spoke to their particular educational needs and the way that they learn best. At the end of the day, all three options go back to the idea of universal design. My goal with this choice board was that kids start to connect the work that they did designing and fabricating products to the needs of the people that use them. Universal design says that if we create a product for one particular group that benefits them, that same product can then benefit many other people. That idea and that concept leads directly into my business mantra for all of my classes, which is that businesses exist to solve problems in exchange for profit. So how are we solving problems utilizing these machines? Let's figure it out by figuring out what users need so that we can bridge ourselves into that business piece where we can utilize our skills in fabrication and design to meet the needs of consumers. So we started by brainstorming. I had several tools that we used for this. One of them was frustration bingo, which was a great way for kids to think about categories in life, things like learning and studying, time management, community spaces, accessibility, money and spending, and think about problems that they could think of that existed within those categories. The goal was for them to think of a problem within 5 spaces that connected to each other so they could get bingo. I also had them interview other students to ask them, what problems do you have, to try to get to that point. After that, they were able to choose 1 or 2 of the problems that they thought they had an idea for a product to create to solve that problem and sketch it on the back. From there, we adjusted our focus just a bit and started to look at everyday products that we're all really familiar with. You can see on the screen, I chose products that every student has touched or used at some point in their lives. And we brainstormed, who do these products fail for? What can we do to make these products better? After going through activities such as that, we had a gallery of product ideas as a class that we could then look at, talk about, and consider how we might focus and hone in on the best ones to iterate them and turn them into a product that we could build a business around, which is how we move into our next slide. Our next goal was for kids to get into smaller groups where they took some of those product concepts that they really thought were important and special and started to look at them and think about them like a designer. This is the disciplinary literacy piece. To look at those products, look at how it was designed, think about how it could be used, look at the sketches, iterate those. And we utilized 2 structures to help them do that. The SWOT analysis, which is going to analyze something that already exists. We use it in organizations, including this district, all the time. We applied it to a product. We then utilize the Scamper model, which brainstorms how to improve an existing product. These are both industry standard tools that are used in product design and development. By doing that, they could take their product ideas and iterate them continually until we got to a product that worked for people. And I brought some examples to show you. So one of my favorites is called the Brush Buddy. Now, the Brush Buddy is not supposed to look like that, but that is how their first iteration looks. Their final version looks more like this. So the purpose of this, they created a tool that anyone could use to store their toothbrush in a fun and whimsical way with a nice broad base that wouldn't tip over and allows moisture to drain out through the hole in the bottom. You can see that they adjusted the size of the hole for the toothbrush, they played with the size of the base to make it more stable, and they included their business name and their logo right on the product, which was one of the challenges that they had. When creating a product to go to market, you want it to match your brand image, which they also created. The other one that I want to show you, this group really wanted to create a tool so that they could protect people from hot stove tops, whether that was kids, older people, people in wheelchairs, whatever. So they created that. And I said, oh, okay. Why don't we take that down to Miss Caesar's room and try it on a stovetop? And sure enough, it did nothing. So they decided to go back to the drawing board. And instead, they came up with an idea to create some sort of a tool that they could put on a countertop right on the edge that would stay put, that you could put utensils and things in. Well, that wasn't quite what they had in mind, even though that is what came out of the 3D printer. So they went back to the drawing board again and ultimately created this. This is a scale model. It's not the exact size, but it's branded. It's got a really nice deep lip on it so that it stays on the countertop edge and has multiple shapes for the utensil holders, and they even added an additional color in there, which was a really nice design element, I thought. And we also created, another group made crayon holders so that kindergartners and other folks at PLE, they thought, could utilize these to help keep their crayons from breaking, and included a notch so that they could hold it properly as well. You see, their first version was a bit long. The crayon is in there, I promise. Yeah. The second one, much better, and includes their business name as well. So they did a great job of really thinking like a designer, evaluating their work, going back to the drawing board, resketching, redesigning, and collaborating with one another to make their products exactly what they wanted them to be in order to solve the problem they identified. So that led them into now building a business around this product. Those are some examples of some of the logos that the students created. They created everything from a mission statement to guide their work and a value proposition that really explains how their product helps their customer, all the way through creating a business model canvas, brand image, marketing strategy, and then their prototypes. Starting tomorrow, students will actually be giving final pitches in the classroom. They've created an entire slide deck that talks through their iterative process with their design, who they're helping, why they're doing it, and their business model as well, which I'm pretty excited to see. So why did we do all of this? We wanted students to do several different things. First, as you heard from both of us, we wanted students to develop skills in digital design, prototyping products, and also producing them. We also wanted them to create a closed loop. connecting that design to the user need, to the business model that provides that product to the end user, because that's what businesses are all about, solving problems for people. And then we also wanted them to learn how to seek feedback for continuous improvement. That is really hard in a middle school, because a lot of middle schoolers don't want to ask for feedback from their peers. And if they do ask for it, they're not really sure they want it after all. So that process was a challenge to show them the value of that feedback. And that's something that translates into other classrooms as well. And we wanted them to collaborate, to truly work together, not just cooperate and sit next to each other working on the same slideshow, but to actually talk and develop new ideas and take this and turn it into this by working together. All right, Scott Rail, it's all you.
So looking at what exactly did we learn? And I know that Kate talked a little bit about this from the student learning side, about connections between design, user needs, etc. Being able to collaborate with others, as well as what we talked about previously in directly connecting to the high school pathways. As staff learning, we learned that scaffolding is very key when you have kids trying to learn these machines. Having a kid work with a laser can be a little bit daunting, but having them and trying to empower them to be able to design and to be able to use it. I remember having a conversation with one of our learning coaches, Ben Lamp, back when after the 2020 referendum passed and we first introduced the STEAM Explorer class and the Makerspace. And at the time, he had said that that class was probably one of, if not the most impactful class to hit the Pewaukee School District in terms of the create standard of our graduate profile. This class takes it to the next level. The high school PHS STEAM design class will even take it that much further. So I mean, that is the future of what it is that we are planning on doing. Moving into the future plans for feedback. One of the changes that we are going to do is to speak about the elephant in the room and what is changing education and everything, and that is AI. So I mean, we are planning on working with our district tech team about how can we safely, effectively, and efficiently empower kids to use AI as personalized, individualized feedback at a very regular, ongoing process to be able to get feedback on their designs from someone other than waiting for individual teacher feedback or peer-to-peer as an additional place. So thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you to all of you, as well as the general Pewaukee community in helping us out. And now we would like to open up the floor for questions.
So how many students each semester are in this class? Is it one class, or are you using this concept in more than one class?
This is a class that under our current, because everything is based on enrollment,
Yeah.
we currently have 4 sections between the 2 of us of 7th grade STEAM design and 2 sections between the 2 of us of 8th grade STEAM design. When we work together with Cady Spadoni on trying to create the master schedule and helping it, trying to figure out how to best develop it, we found it very important that both of us taught this class both first semester and second semester of this year to really tap into our knowledge and experience and expertise between the 2 of us to really help develop and build and to create the next iteration of this class.
That's awesome. That's one of my favorite things about ASA, is that the students get to try things and expand their horizons of what they want to do in the high school and beyond. So thank you for your creativity. It's really great.
So given that we're sort of have partially opened the new spaces, the consistency and or compatibility of what you kind of start them with as they move into the high school, can you talk about that a little bit?
That's a great question. I will say, as a dad of a freshman going in,
Oh,
wow, I was originally wow when that space was created. Now I'm triple wow. That's phenomenal. But yes, definitely compatibility. I mean, when we tried to look at the hardware, we tried to look at what are ways that can bridge the gap, because the hardware that's being put into the high school directly connects to the hardware that the kids are using at the middle school. Software is going to be a little bit different because we expect the students to be able to amp up their software usages as well. So instead of using Tinkercad, they might be using Fusion or other Autodesk platforms or anything else. So I mean, that is the next step that is developmentally appropriate for the kids.
Yeah, and Larry, this spring, the board will see the high school CTE new courses. We held off a year. You remember Scott and the other teachers were here last spring. But the high school team participated with them on the same timeline, and part of that is really looking at our K-12 scope and sequence. So when they met and were talking about adding new classes, there was the mindset that it needed to build upon each other. So it should feed very well into the new classes that you guys will hear about this spring from the high school tech ed department.
And there was a little bit of a battle at one point in time about between the high school and the middle school and trying to compete for that STEAM design. So we just both decided to take it and just called both of them STEAM design.
This is a required. This is a required course?
This is not a required class. This is one of our elective offerings.
Okay, and I missed the answer to the question. How many students are enrolled in this one?
Direct number of students, using math, I would say roughly 150 of our 7th and 8th grade students are currently taking that. I mean, we have 6 sections total, so if we look at, I don't think it's quite 25 on average per section, so a little bit less than 150.
Comment I'll make is having a 7th grader. He loved this class. It was the highlight that he and his friends could talk about and the cool stuff that they got to bring home to their parents. So I think that they really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Scott, so you said your son is gonna go into high school as a freshman?
That is correct.
Or is he already there? No.
He is an 8th grader currently.
Okay, so did he participate in the 8th grade high school transition thing? Was that last week?
Last week, yes, we did. He was in ski club, so he was there, but we were able to participate. We were able to see it, and the very first thing he said when he was looking at his course description guide was saying, "I want to take PHS STEAM Design." That was #1 elective on his list.
Okay, good. I mean, because ultimately, that's what we were trying to do, was to make sure that we had the bridge from middle school to high school, and obviously we do things at the elementaries as well, but.
And my 6th grade daughter is signing up for this class for next year as well.
I just wonder where they're getting this.
No idea.
Where's it coming from?
No passion from Dad on this one.
I mean, I just want to thank both of you. When I think back to the 21st century skills class, Kate, I think you were a long-term sub.
I was.
And you taught that class. Sometimes I think towards the end of its life cycle, it did feel like 20th century skills. And I think the advancements that you guys have been a huge part of when it comes to, the revamping of those classes is a testament to your passion. And you obviously can tell how passionate you guys are, so thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here tonight. Great presentation. This community has supported and invested in things like manufacturing and design kinds of approaches to learning. The vision around STEAM at Asa Clerk and now at the new additions at the high school, talk about how those things come together. I kept thinking about this when Kate was speaking. I remember this is probably maybe 10 years ago when with Project Lead the Way, the capstone engineering design course where they present to a board of engineers from the community. And I still remember this engineer telling them, it really doesn't matter how good your idea is if no one wants to pay for it to make a product and actually sell it. So when you think about that business connection and that whole loop that you were talking about, Kate, it's just really a great comprehensive view of how we take an idea, we use empathic design, like there's a problem we're trying to solve. We're using that iterative approach to how can we improve a solution, and then actually think about, okay, could we actually make this into something that would work in a market? So just a great sample of that, and then how that's going to prepare them to come up into these programs is fantastic.
Could I potentially add to that though too? I mean, well, it's kind of like fun and playing with stuff, but to me, it's like the underlying is you're teaching kids the problem solving skills and tool sets that go along with being an effective problem solver. So whether it applies to products you make or problem solving in general, it's good sets of knowledge to know, so.
All right.
Well, thank you. Ashley has some, you didn't just give prizes to us, she's going to Oprah you guys now.
Hold on.
There it is. And you get a prize.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for being here tonight.
All right. Up next, we have our student board representative report.
right. Happy January. I can't believe we're already in January. That's crazy. All right, so for our January board report, the first topic we have is our Pops Tab fundraiser, which was actually an initiative started by Junior Lily Lavis. And this has been pretty successful. I'm pretty sure it's going on at Horizon, ASA, and the high school. But I know it's had a lot of success at specifically ASA and the high school. And they're collecting from January 6th to February 10th, and all of these are getting like weighed out in pounds, and then however much money they raise from that goes back to the Milwaukee's Ronald McDonald House. And yeah, so I know at the high school, Mr. DeSault is winning by about 2 pounds, I think, but I know Mr. Eberly is pretty close behind him with Mrs. Gannier. So yeah, they have 2 sponsors, Cobblestone Creek and Mill Home Supper Club, that have kind of helped them throughout this process because you need to get 2 sponsors. But I think it's really cool. She actually sought out this opportunity on her own, and she has a team comprised of all Pewaukee High School students. So it's just a really cool thing that I think that she started, and it's been pretty successful and popular.
So with a new advisor this year, Key Club is kind of being reimagined. So we started a whole new social media team that I'm kind of leading. And we also have a board again that we've had in past years. But for the social media team specifically, there's 3 branches to give more people leadership positions that they may have not been able to experience otherwise. And we're just working on advertising volunteer opportunities and fundraisers. And for the board, we have 8 board members, which are working towards a community-wide fundraiser, which is going to be an event for the Children's Hospital right now. We're communicating with them, figuring out what that event might be, and we're just finding ways to recognize Key Club and make it more than just volunteering for people.
So the Motley Brew is a student-led venture by the Life Skills and Beyond 18 students. It's a school-based coffee business, so you can order it online. I put the QR code right there if any of you are interested. But you order online, and you can pick up at the PHS main office. And then, or you can get a porch drop-off, which I think is pretty neat. But it just guides students in special education and transition programs through like the creation of a business and just learning like essential business and career professional skills. And this was started by Becky Van Dera, PHS life skills teacher, and Jill Thomas, who is the Beyond 18 teacher. So just something really cool that is definitely made an impact in professional skills, but also business skills.
And they're doing quite well. They're actually making pretty
Try
good.
to make me wear a t-shirt for it tonight.
Yep.
Do you 2 know what that play on words is with the name of that?
Yeah, the Motley Brew.
Nice. All right.
See, everything's 80s these days, so then when they know. Which makes me happy.
A few weeks ago, every year Global Business does the treasure trove where the students in Global Business, they sell things from their business that they make up to kind of give them some real experience. So some business examples were Woven, a blanket brand from Ryan Nicholson and Gianna Schlitz. And then Mellow was a hoodie brand. Rush Lane was like Pewaukee themed car accessories. It had like a license plate cover and like air fresheners. I thought it was pretty cool. Pewaukee Sweater Company and Desi Sweats and Aerolink. There were other things going on, but there was a whole lot, and it was really interesting to see the different like business ideas that were going on. Even some of them, like I know Parker Lacari and Julian McClanahan, they did like Pewaukee youth lacrosse thing, which I thought was really cool because it wasn't just like selling something, but it was more like trying to give back to the community.
Now, Maura, when I was at this and I went to the guys doing the license plate cover, because you could get sports, and they showed me their webpage, and I just said, you're going to lose a sale if you can't do a wrestling one. And he just went right on, and he just threw a wrestling one on there, and I already got it. Yeah.
Well, ironically, it was wrestlers running the lacrosse business.
Well, no, I was talking about the guys that did
Yeah.
the license plate covers, so there we go.
I did buy a blanket. They were
They were
impressive.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
And a candle
Yeah.
a candle as well coming, so pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and I would like to add that that's such a great opportunity. I mean, I did global business last year, and a part of their final is to write a huge business plan. Like, it goes up to like 45 pages. So it's basically what you would submit to a bank if you were like creating a business. And I just think that's a really cool opportunity to see what it takes to like the planning that goes into it. and just kind of understanding the process that you need to have and the thought that needs to come before it, before you kind of decide to actually start this.
Yeah, so some athletics and activities. Key Club was making Christmas cards for senior citizens. Art Club rebooted, and Miss Olson is now running it. Morgan's Message held an information table at the girls' basketball game. The dance team hosted a competition at PHS that they do every year. Prom committee, we decided our theme, which is going to be Roaring 20s. Girls' basketball has a 7-1 record with a 3-0 conference record. Boys' basketball is 5-4-1 with a 0-2-1 conference record. Waukesha Wings has an 8-5-0 record, and student night was December 19th. Wrestling had the second theater throwdown, and varsity won every match. Jared LaPlante currently leads the team with a 16-5 record. Environmental Club had a hot chocolate social and walk in the woods. Boys Swim competed against Whitnall and won. The Dazzling Dynamics performed beautifully at the Winter Choir concert, and Robotics had their season kickoff this past weekend, actually, and is officially in the new workspace.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, for salutes and recognitions, just a shout out to all the teachers for hosting the test drives, creating those lesson plans, along with their final exams, because I know that was the week that they started kind of like making those final exams, but just having those test drives for students to come and see that. Dr. Cady for handing out Kringles for the bus drivers while supporting the Model UN program.
I really have to give all credit to Mrs. Yunt for that. But
Thank you, Mrs. Yunt.
once again, she makes me look, she's always making me look good, but the real work gets done behind the scenes, so.
Mrs. Igelski for organizing and managing the choir concert, showcasing all grade levels. That's definitely not easy, but she makes it look so nice every year. And then everybody involved in the construction of the new wing, it looks great, and I've just heard wonderful things about it from everyone. And then for our learning spotlight, we have the new policy that they've created for the 20% reduction of paper usage at PHS, which is kind of more maximizing the Chromebook usage, which has come with primarily positive feedback, and I definitely think that it's definitely good for getting people more used to their Chromebooks and how to use them. Mrs. Olson's AP art class, students Sienna, Sashi, Anna Marrero, Mia Tullis, EJ Los, Livia Truong, Haley Hutchins, and Jackson Hakes. They all had their art displayed at the UW Parkside exhibition. And Aubrey Spitzner received Best in Show for her ceramic and fiber sculpture piece. Mr. Douglas, the Model United Nations, sorted and handed out Kringles for their fundraiser. Mrs. Igelski, the choir, of course, hosted the winter choir concerts, which was a huge success. And Mrs. Buddy Psychology made wrapping paper with the second graders at PLE, and they wrapped books in their coloring sheets. And that's all. Thank you.
Great report.
Tammy, any comments from citizens? Any salutes and recognitions? Admin?
You guys have any?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Andy.
I want to salute Aaron Mente. We do academic learning walks throughout the course of the year where our instructional coaches, building principals from all 4 buildings, and district office administration go in, visit classrooms, see teachers teaching. This is fresh in my mind today. I was in Aaron Mente's 7th grade math class, and just an outstanding example of seeing some of our strategic plan initiatives in action. So I just wanted to recognize Erin for her efforts there. I also want to recognize Lauren Weisky, our secondary math interventionist, and Melissa Schultz, our secondary math coach. They've done a great job at collaborating with me and with others to try and solve some issues not issues, but we have some opportunities to better serve some of our students in math intervention. So they've been key players in that. So I just wanted to recognize those 3 people.
Yeah, I'd add a few in here. I'd like to recognize Ben Lamp, Nelson Brownell. I don't know if anybody else for the equipment. Those two for, so if you've seen our new spaces, and especially the manufacturing areas and our innovation spaces, Mr. Lamp's back is very sore today. There's been an awful lot of setup. I asked him if he was certified on the forklift yet, but there is, it's really fun, exciting stuff, but a ton of work went into that, and those guys were knee-deep in it as we're getting those spaces ready for students. And then John Stangler and John Gahan for everything that they've done. There was a lot to get those spaces ready for students to get into here after the holidays, and those guys were the key leaders to make sure that it got done on time. So someone has to crack the whip, and those guys are good at cracking it to keep things going, and C.G. Schmidt has been a great partner in getting those things done. So I'd like to recognize those individuals. And Sam Garrett's, I would like to shout him out. Why am I blanking on his business? D&H. So just the generosity that Sam shows to us in our programs, a lot of the neat things that you'll see with some of the displays that we'll have that are getting put in place in those manufacturing areas. If you see large metal cutout kinds of displays, Sam does those for free for the school district, donates everything. And there's a particular one that's going to be in the innovation space that he donated all of the metal cutouts, and then C.G. Schmidt, the LED lighting that was installed behind that. So thanks to both of those partners for how they support us.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda. So we will be looking for a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. We don't have any gifts at this time, and then we have a bunch of policies that were listed on there that we're looking to accept.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Question on the phone policy. Was that passed last time? I'm not sure what that is. I'm sorry.
The phone policy, what do you mean, the personal communication device policy?
Yeah.
That was passed several meetings ago, I believe.
Yeah, and
Right.
we
So why is
revised-
it? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, we were just trying to. Probably, and this is probably where the question comes from, it was originally approved by the board fully, and then shortly thereafter, the new law was passed and signed by the governor. Then we brought it back
To the policy
to the
committee.
policy committee and went to first read with revisions, just to make sure it was tightly aligned with what the new law said, and so that's why it was brought back.
Apologies, Ash. Did we alter it from the first time we approved it?
In the first, in your packet where you have the red lines in the strike through show what those changes were. So for example, it used to be personal communication devices, now it's wireless communication devices, just because that's the terminology that's used in the statute. And we included some things specific on a definition that is in the state statute, and the statute requires that we ensure that that definition is part of the policy.
Thank you. Abstain.
Moving on to business affairs.
Business affairs met tonight. We went through our check registers, our financial report. We had a brief OPEB discussion, other post-employee benefit discussion, and got an update on the monthly capital projects. Didn't have any questions on check registers, just comment, we loved the better descriptions, results in a lot fewer questions from us. Fantastic. Our annual expenditures for the year are tracking normal, along with revenues based on the last 4 years. Through December, we are 11% of revenues and expenses at 38%, which is very normal based on historicals. Excellent news, we did not have to make a draw on our line of credit for the month of December due to the city funding our tax installment a week early, which is great. In terms of monthly capital projects, as of the end of December, the career and tech ed work, which was a majority of the referendum, is 95.6% completed. It is anticipated to be completed in full by the end of March 2026. Great news here too, it's on time and under budget, which is fantastic. We briefly discussed over the course of the project, there are several sources of revenue. Of course, the the initial proceeds of the two debt issues of $28.5 million, income from several grants, and projected interest earning on the temporary investment of the borrowed funds, which is projected to be $775,000. Under the current projections of the costs of the project, we anticipate remaining funds available of approximately just under $1.4 million after completion of all of the approved projects to date, which John, we have an agenda item later on to talk about that. And then we had a brief on other post-employee employment benefits. A couple, there was a continued health benefit provided by the district that certain active and retired employees are eligible for, along with a supplemental pension benefit. And John just talked about the valuation and district liability to those benefits. John, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add?
I think that covered it.
Move to approve the Business Affairs Committee agenda meeting as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain. I understood from the reading that we normally accept as not, we don't approve because we weren't there. And the language is in several of the agendas I've seen accept, which is totally correct. Thank you.
So moving on to new business. So we're gonna talk about the special education caseload discussion.
All right, Tony Stranke is here, our Director of Student Services, to talk about special education caseload pieces. This is something that we always do in advance of the board considering recommendations for open enrollment seats. And some of the information Tony presents also relates to one of your board goals, or elements of one of your board goals for this year. So thanks for being here, Tony. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me. So good evening, everybody. Did a lot of analysis for the open enrollment report because it's very important that we ensure that we can maximize our service delivery model for all students in the district, both open enrollment kids that have qualified previously and our special education population. And how we do this is we do an analysis and we really take a deep dive into the IEPs. And students have a case weight, and case weight is determined by number of hours serviced in special education. So students that are 1 to 10 hours a week, they're the lowest level. Then 10 to 20 hours is the second level, and then your third level is 21 plus. The reason I share that this evening is because we look at numbers. We look at regional comparables, and I can tell you in the region, elementary caseload should be between 8 and 10 students, but that's just a number. That doesn't incorporate the number of hours of service delivery that they're receiving in their IEPs. Then when you move up to middle school, 10 to 12 kids is pretty much the regional comparables if you look at Waukesha County and many of your Milwaukee suburban districts. Then at your high school, you're looking at 12 to 14. So in your board packet, you can see our current numbers. And the other thing that we really need to be mindful of is referrals and move-ins. So what we've done over the last couple of years is we look at a 3-year average. And that's also incorporated on page 2 of this executive summary. You can see the referral rates. And when we take all of that into consideration, looking at each of the buildings, and I will start with PLE. Now be mindful, special education has changed where we're no longer looking at disability specific. Kids are classified in cross-categorical. Cross-categorical encompasses autism, intellectual disability, specific learning disability. So we look at the wide range, emotional behavioral disturbance, vision. All of those are disability-related needs that are encompassed in a cross-categorical. We also look at grade-specific teams. Now we've grown significantly since I started here. We've doubled in size over the last 10 years. And as a result of that, not all teachers are grade specific, but the hope with our model is to have one grade specific teacher. There are instances where we have teachers split between grade levels. So after looking at the analysis and looking at all of our number, for grades K4 through 2nd, we have 5 special education teachers, 38 students. This puts a caseload at 7.6 students, but then if you look at that early childhood through 2nd grade, you're going to see the highest incident rate of referrals, where kids are going to their pediatrician, where students have never been in school, And that's where we see the greatest number of referrals and the greatest number of students qualifying. So starting next year, we're looking at roughly 7.6 students per caseload when we look at the total number of teachers. And the one area that is not encompassed is early childhood, because birth to 3 referrals are, you can't predict them. They come in throughout the course of the year, and we have a 50% teacher at early childhood. So my recommendation for Pewaukee Lake Elementary, because we are right on that cusp of that 8 students per caseload, is to close all seats when we take into consideration referrals and then move-ins. One of the other things that we oftentimes see is families oftentimes move into the district of choice when they have small children. They want to get them into a school district K4, K5, first grade. Any questions on PLE and the analysis? Let's take a look at Horizon. When applying the weighted case formula, several sections at Horizon Elementary are already reaching their optimal support threshold. Horizon Elementary has 5 special education teachers with a projected special education student enrollment of 52 students. This places each caseload at 10 students each, not taking into account case weight. Keep in mind that elementary caseloads should fall in the 8 to 10 range. So as a result, the recommendation for grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th would be to close all seats, because we're right in line with where we want to be, taking into consideration referrals and move-ins. Any questions on Horizon?
Question for you, Anthony.
Yes.
The 5 teachers, are those full-time?
5 full-time special education teachers, correct.
So ASA is 3 grades?
3 grades as well, with 5 special ed teachers.
Okay, what percentage of ASA is in special ed?
We're hovering right around 9–10% of our student population is special education.
Okay, so roughly 250 is the population, and then we're doing 25?
Well, we're right about 350 students right now, with a 2,950 student enrollment.
Just do ASA, sorry.
That encompasses speech and language, though, and that's a separate subcategory. Speech language only.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did I answer your question? I just want to make sure
It
that.
may develop as you go along.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure that any questions you have, that I can clearly articulate exactly what you're looking for. But thank you for the question. All right. Any other questions on Horizon Elementary? So the next building is Asa Clark Middle School. So when applying weighted case formula, several sections at Asa Clark Middle School are already reaching their optimal support threshold. Middle school caseloads are typically staffed at 10 to 12 students per caseload. Asa Clark has 5 special education teachers with an anticipated special education student enrollment of 58 students. Asa Clark will start the year at 11 to 12 students per caseload, not taking into account case weight. My recommendation is to close all open enrollment seats at 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. Any questions on ASA? Thank you. And then last but not least, as far as the buildings go, and then we'll get into speech. When applying a weighted caseload formula, several sections at Pewaukee High School are already reaching their optimal support threshold. Pewaukee High School has 6 special education teachers, grades 9 through 12, with an anticipated student enrollment of 83 students. Pewaukee High School is projected to start the year at 14 students per caseload, not taking into account case weight. High school caseloads should be between 12 and 14 students per caseload. As a result, my recommendation is to close all seats at our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Any questions for Pewaukee High School?
When you're talking about closing as a general proposition, are you closing out new or current or what?
We're closing seats for open enrollment, so.
Right, but are you closing out seats for, so we have people here who are open enrollment in those programs now? Go ahead.
Oh, I don't want to cut you off. So I'll do the best job I can, and you let me know if I answered your question. So when we take a student in open enrollment, our past practice has been, if they become our student as an open enrollment student and they qualify for special education services such as speech and language, we have kept the students. just because we make a commitment as a Pewaukee School District when we take on a student. Let's say the student wasn't identified as a student with a disability when they applied for open enrollment and they did not have an IEP from another district. In that instance, we have kept the student because they're our kid now. So when we're closing seats, we would be closing seats for parents of students that would be open enrolling and filling out the paperwork this February.
For the first time.
For the first time, correct.
That's it, thank you.
Yep, no worries. Thank you. All right, the next category that I would like to talk about would be speech and language. So for speech and language services, to ensure high-quality service delivery and compliance with case management requirements, the ideal caseload for a speech and language pathologist is 30 to 40 students. This range allows staff to manage existing individualized education programs, IEPs, while maintaining the capacity for new evaluations and referrals throughout the year. Based on our current enrollment and staffing level of 6.3 FTE, and that's right, how do you get a 0.3 of a person? We have 2 part-time speech and language therapists, and the rest of them are full-time. And the part-time, just in case you're wondering, one is a 0.8 and one is a 0.5, so 80% and 50%, because I know that math can look confusing. We will begin the year at an average of 38 students per caseload. Because we are already at a mid to high end of the recommended range, there is no additional capacity to accept non-resident students in the area of speech and language. As a result, my recommendation is to close speech and language seats for the 2026 and 2027 school year. To preserve the quality of support for our resident students and ensure the district remains in full compliance with individualized education programs, we cannot at this time accept additional students through open enrollment in any of our special education programs, cross-categorical programming at PLE, Horizon, ASA, and Pewaukee High School, as well as speech and language programs throughout the district. Does anyone have any questions about the open enrollment for special education programming for the 2026-2027 school year?
Do you have any sense of the numbers that we're talking about in terms of rejection for both the IEP and the speech?
So that's a really good question. Any given year, regardless if we close seats or not, I receive IEPs. And in any given year, I'll receive anywhere from 15 to 30 IEPs to review, because we still have to review the IEPs just to ensure that we're giving everyone an equal opportunity. So as Director of Student Services, Tammy will send me the IEPs of any applicants, and we do review them. So we're at a range of 15 to 30. It's hard to estimate how many individuals of students with disabilities, parents that is, would fill out the application, especially in light of closing all seats. But there are parents that will still fill out an application just in case space were to become available. And that would be, you know, they just want to have an opportunity to be on a wait list.
Do we have a wait list?
We do have a wait list for open enrollment, but at this time with special education, it looks very unlikely that we would open any seats.
How deep is the wait list?
That would depend upon how many special education families apply for open enrollment. So I wouldn't know the answer to that at this time, but we have a wait list for regular education students as well.
Yeah, just to, maybe I can help clarify a little bit. So we don't have a wait list for special ed students, applicants, because the program has been closed in the last year. So there's no wait list for students that would be in that program because that program is closed by the board. So if there were to be some change to that, then there potentially could be a wait list. There are some wait lists, like 4K, for example, but those would be for regular education students who applied. That's typically where, to your question, Mary, we'd see the biggest wait list because that's where we get the largest number of applicants. But that would not include special education students in the last number of years because the program was closed.
So it brings me back to, why are you reviewing them if there's no, I would have thought that they would have that, it's closed, and then you would not be getting the paperwork. And then I thought you said that you do the paperwork to generate the wait list.
Yeah,
But if it's closed, you don't have a wait list, so why would you do the paperwork?
Every year I receive a bunch of IEPs to review for any family that applies for open enrollment, and I review them.
We review the applications come, we review them, and then we respond if there's a current IEP in place that the program's closed.
But you're not maintaining a wait list as one of
No.
Requirement of the administrative rules that the application, once it's received, it comes along with any accompanying paperwork, and if the application identifies that the student is currently being serviced under an IEP, that we receive that and review it prior to the determination that the space is closed for that application.
In Mary, there's one other caveat to this, and I had this in my previous district as a director. Sometimes there are mistakes made in the application process. Sometimes students have an IEP, and they no longer have an IEP because it was a speech and language student, and reviewing the paperwork is just a way to double check to make sure that there's not any hiccups in the process,
Or
if you
maybe
will.
a student was dismissed.
Yeah.
Or something, and then they wouldn't be subject to a closed program.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, all good, except I don't understand then the wait. So the parent submits the documents, sees that the program is closed, and you suggested that that's a good, not a bad thing, because somebody may create an opening. But I'm gathering that you don't keep those records anyway, so I'm lost there.
I do not keep those records in my office. It's just something, it's part of the statute that we have to review all paperwork associated with an open enrollment application, so that's why I review the IEPs. And one of the things that could happen is a student may have had an IEP, they may no longer have an IEP, so reviewing the paperwork is just a checks and balances process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, I have a question on page 2. Could you explain the chart a little bit more in terms of where you have the numbers? It's for like school year 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26. You have indicated there's like 14 in process evaluations, which has us 1.5. But then also you have students placed in special education as being 13, and then students who did not qualify, and total number of referrals. But then they don't look like they're the same numbers that are in there for the 23, 24, 24, 25? You have that?
So those are the number of referrals that we receive, and it talks about the number of students that did not qualify and the number of students. So that number 13 for the 25-26 school year, 13 of students qualified for special education. For this school year, we had a total of 36 referrals. 9 of the 36 did not qualify. 13 of the students qualified and were placed in special education. And then that 14, those are the current number of evaluations that have started the timeline, but we have not completed them yet.
But the 36 is like way down from an 85 and 110.
You think of that data, Larry, the referral process, we're halfway through the school year, and those other two are that's an entire school year. So those numbers are about half or 40% of what you end up with by the end of the school year.
So we could see those numbers go up quite a bit between now and the end of the.
You could, because of the MTSS process, when you have students receiving intervention, we usually go for 6 to 18 weeks before that referral would go in, so it's not uncommon. Just last week, I signed a number of referrals. So between the 504 plans, which we didn't talk about tonight, and the special referrals for special education, that number will come up. However, I'll be honest with you, we were pleasantly surprised. We thought Act 20 was going to increase our number of referrals, and it didn't. So, but yeah, that's all the more reason. And thanks for pointing that out, Larry, because that's one of the reasons that we're really intentional and mindful and really take a close look at those numbers in special education. And that's why I incorporated the referrals so you guys could see the numbers. But you're right, it is significantly lower at this time of the year. I am anticipating that number to grow significantly between now and June.
Anthony, where do the referrals come from?
Well, referrals can come from the parent, it can come from the teacher. The MTSS referrals come from interventionists. So the referrals can come from anyone, anywhere. You can get a referral from a pediatrician. So Yeah, most commonly it's parent and teacher driven, where a teacher will refer a student and fill out the referral paperwork in collaboration with the family. But anyone can refer a student for special education, and it is our obligation to complete the child find process and determine whether or not a student is a student with a disability.
Another question, Anthony. So I think you're well aware that the board is really interested in monitoring the number of special education students, and then also that weighted numbers as well, in terms of what our trends are and what are we seeing across the district. Because again, there's some projections out there at the state level that the special education students should be increasing or are increasing. And I just want to know what it is what's happening here in Pewaukee as it relates to special education students, and then that weighted portion of it, because weighted to me implies that they require more resources to be able to function in the schools. Is that fair?
Absolutely. So just case in point, we every now and again we get students that transfer in that have one-on-one paraprofessionals. So that student is covered every hour of every day, and then the special education teacher has to communicate and plan for that special education or the special education paraprofessionals. So the weights are significant, especially when you're working with students with pretty significant profiles, whether that's intellectual disability or students on the autism spectrum that may require assistive technology, communication devices, and things of that nature, and a completely alternative curriculum.
And I can just that might help Larry with your question. Per the board goals, there is a board report and a presentation at the next meeting on February 9th. 504 plans, IEPs, so that, I mean, tonight is some of that information you're talking about, and you're getting a full.
So we'll see more of it coming out.
You're getting a full report on the 9th.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The other part of it, which was really part of some discussions too, is as we transition students from second grade to third grade and then fifth grade to sixth grade, I mean, there's, again, numbers that go along with that, and I think if I understood correctly last year, there was a large contingent of students that went through from fifth grade to sixth grade, and boom, that hits the Asa Clark staff pretty heavy, so hopefully we can see whatever those numbers are too, so.
That caseload literally takes up almost 3 teachers. We were in the mid-20s when we transitioned that group.
More to come, right?
Yeah, and that's per the goal, the transition piece is an emphasis of that presentation on the 9th. Any other questions for Tony?
All right. Thank you, guys. It was a
Thanks, Tom.
pleasure.
Thanks, Tony.
Looking for the motions, 3 different motions we have.
That should come after
That's
the
just
next.
informational.
That comes under B. It's tied into when we do these seats here.
Okay.
Yep, so we need this one first.
Okay, so now we're doing the open enrollment seat
Yes.
designations.
John will take it from here.
All right. So open enrollment, as you're well aware, this is a significant part of our financial picture in the district. We receive net, once we figure out open enrollment in versus open enrollment out students, we're anticipating about 350 students coming in next year, as opposed to about 120 to 125 going out of the district elsewhere. That has a significant impact, well over $2 million of net revenue in the district. So the revenue limit caps about 80% of the revenues that a public school district gets, and ranges anywhere from 70 to 90. The gap of being able to fund programming like you see the STEAM Center in that, a lot of that is generated by strategic decisions to generate revenue. One of them is open enrollment, where we bring students in through seats that are available and optimize the efficiency of our programming by filling all those seats and having the class sizes at target ranges that we have. Again, the net revenue is about $2 to $2.4 million. Significant change in this last biennium is the funding level. Funding level for open enrollment went from about $8,600 per pupil to about $10,000 this year and close to $11,000 next year per pupil. So there's about a $940 per pupil increase in the level of funding that we receive. Helps to maintain programming and keep up with the pace of inflation in our operating budget in the district. So with that, we have to be very strategic about where we open seats. We've always had had an emphasis on getting students in here early. We want to get them in here in 4K, 5K first grade with the greatest numbers and have those numbers flow right through the rest of the years that are in the district. So, pretty consistently the last several years, I'm gonna go back. 2000, when open enrollment started around 99 or 2000, we had a net negative open enrollment. We had more students leaving than we had students come in. And it was deemed by the board at that point that this is a real quality indicator for the district. We want to have more kids coming in than going out, be a district that's in demand. Since 2001, that negative open enrollment has switched to a positive. We have more coming in than going out, and we've maintained those ratios through the growth in our resident population. Numbers go down for open enrollment. If you're slowing down or declining enrollment, typically you might open more seats unless you're dropping your operating costs with it. That's one of the strategies that we've been doing in the last several years. Limiting those seats in open enrollment to where we can maintain that net revenue, but also control the total cost of operating and the number of sections that we're offering. With that, we're opening up 35 seats this year in open enrollment. I believe last year was 34 or 36. Same ballpark for the number of seats. Those seats will be open in 4K, 5K, third grade, second grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and ninth grade. And we have the numbers in the report of the number of seats. Again, the number of them, 20 of the 35 seats will be at 4K, we project for next year. To answer the question about wait list, we do establish a wait list at any grade level where we have seats available. Otherwise, we're restricting the seats that are available under the same administrative rules that govern open enrollment. If we restrict the number of seats in any way, we cannot accept the alternative applications in those seats until after the third Friday in September. So essentially, the open enrollment window starts in February. It runs through the end of April. The selection is a random selection that occurs based on all the applications we receive. Historically, looking at it, I would anticipate we'll receive 175 to 200 applications for the 35 seats that we have open. The wait list for 4K, we will receive somewhere around 45 to 60 applications for 4K for next year for those 20 seats, and the rest will be established in a wait list at that younger grade. You have three motions that you act on for open enrollment. The first one is to open those specific seats. Again, 20 seats in 4K, 3 seats in kindergarten, 3 seats in second grade, 2 seats in fourth grade, 2 seats in fifth grade, and 5 seats in ninth grade, based on the analysis of the projected number of students at each grade level. The second motion is what we had given the report about, is those specific programs and those grade levels for the programs for special education and the closed seats. And the third motion applies to a couple elements in the board policy. We have a policy that students who are in attendance and enrolled in the district, in our policy, they get preference without need to have a seat open for open enrollment. So if a family lives here through the beginning of December, moves out of district, they become what is called a tuition waiver. They can complete the year under the statutes, as a resident student, even though they're living somewhere else. We do not require them to apply for an open seat because they're assumed to have already filled the seat when we determine what was going to be open. They automatically transition into open enrollment. And then the second group of students that fit in that same profile would be siblings of students who are currently attending in the district this year who apply to come in through open enrollment. They have preference without the need to have a seat available for them to come in. So that's the third motion to accept those two groups of students. Any questions?
What is the size of the 4K population at Pewaukee?
4K has been, our resident population, we're projecting around 110 to 112 students for next year. With the 20, it'll take us up to about 132 to 135 in 8 sections, or roughly 16 students per section.
Same for 5K?
5K, we target a number of 18 to 20 students, sometimes 21 for 5K. So we look at our 4K population. That's a challenging one to project, because you have to anticipate how many students didn't go through 4K, which isn't mandatory programming,
right,
that are going to be here in 5K.
Right.
Historically, it's been around 20 to 24% that survival ratio. So 125% of the number of 4K students that you have will be here in 5K. Last year, we saw a little anomaly where we had a few more than that come in 5K. So we restrict those number of seats in 5K until we know what's happening with those students transitioning from 4K to 5K. We anticipate that number is going to be somewhere around that 20 range to 21.
What is the current 5K enrollment?
177.
And we're doing 3 on the 5K and the bulk on the 4K because most people put their children in at 4K?
Correct.
We think about it strategically so that it doesn't push us to add another section or hire more staffing. That's why the 3 at 5K moving forward, so that if we take too many, then it's going to require us to hire another teacher and have another section.
You mentioned 350 and 150. Is the 350 a net positive, or is that?
That's gross number of students who are non-residents who are attending here through open enrollment.
Right, so, and the 150 was a negative outflow, but 120,
Is the
okay.
number that are going out currently.
For this year?
Yep.
So
Okay,
about
so the net is the difference between those two. You're not giving me, very good, thank you.
Yep, about 230. Yep.
Now we need 3 motions.
Okay, so motion number 1. I move to declare a total of 35 open enrollment seats available at the following grade levels for the 2026-2027 school year. 4K, 20 seats, grade K, 3 seats, grade 2, 3 seats, grade 4, 2 seats, grade 5, 2 seats, and grade 9, 5 seats.
Second.
Follow-up question, John. What are the wait lists on those ones where the seats are low?
Generally, once we get beyond first or second grade, our wait list might be 5 or less historically.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Move to approve no open enrollment seats in the following special education programs and services. Speech and language, grades K4 through 2nd. Early childhood, 3-year-olds. Cross-categorical special education, grades K4 through 2nd. Speech and language, grades 3rd through 5th. Cross-categorical special education, grades 3rd through 5th. Speech and language, grades 6th through 8th. Cross-categorical special education, grades 6th through 8th. Speech and language, grades 9th through 12th. Cross-categorical special education, grades 9th through 12th. And transition programming for 18 to 21-year-olds.
Second.
Follow-up, John. What is the enrollment of 18 and 18 plus?
It wasn't Anthony's report, I know.
Generally, we have about 8 to 10 students in there, but that can fluctuate year over year.
Anthony, 18 plus, what do we got for kids in there right now?
This year we're at about 7, and then the case manager also handles all of the outplacements for us.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
11, 12.
We have a move in a second, so we've got to vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
I move that the Board of Education accept full-time open enrollment applications of students in the upcoming application period who are currently included in the count of occupied spaces and attending Pewaukee School District. The Board of Education will apply the preferences required by law to full-time open enrollment applications of siblings of students who are currently enrolled and included in the count of occupied spaces and are attending Pewaukee School District at any grade where open enrollment space is available.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Moving on to audit contract extension.
Okay, so last board meeting, we had our annual report and our audit report delivered from Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly is the firm that we have used for a number of years here. including the previous audit contract or the letter of engagement that we had with them was for a 3-year audit services. That was a result of a bid that we did, had multiple respondents to. The conclusion of the 24-25 fiscal year is the conclusion of that engagement, and the proposal that we've given you is to extend that engagement through another 3 years with the option of going 2 additional years beyond that at the board's option. So pricing on there generally goes up about 3 to 4% per year, and mirrors a lot of the contracts that we've seen that are out there.
And how long have they been doing this for us?
Baker Tilly has been here through acquisitions, through different firms, over 20 years. One of the questions that always comes about with audit is it fits into the definition of a professional services contract, much like legal counsel. When you have that, it's having that familiarity with the processes and the systems in the district. What's nice about Baker Tilly with the size that they have, they're able to provide new sets of eyes every year. There's new field people conducting the audit. There's new supervisors that are there. This past year, we had a remote relationship with the audit manager who was coming out of another office in another region of the state. So you're always having a fresh set of eyes so that they're not missing something that's coming through.
And I think you said it went out to competitive bid 3 years ago?
Correct.
And this is an extension of that on the basis of that bid?
Yep.
And they've always been how is it a low bid or what is the?
No, you don't necessarily are restricted. You're not necessarily restricted to low bid or low cost. It's really the quality of the audit, and that's a judgment from the board members. You receive the audit from them. They deliver the board. The auditor really works for the board to give an opinion on the financial statements. So.
And if we don't do this, we're putting it out to bid at this time?
You would.
And we don't think we should be having a different firm take a look at it?
In my opinion, the transition of staff members and giving the fresh look at things each time around, the partner remains the same, but the field auditors and the staff are churning. They're turning over on an annual basis, sometimes mid-audit, doing that. There's also a phenomenon happening around the state where a lot of firms are moving out of doing public school audits. They're moving out of doing K-12 audits, where that pool of companies to be able to access to provide you an audit has been shrinking.
And there are no requirements that we move that function around? No generally accepted accounting principles that says we should be moving it around?
I don't believe there's
No.
anything in GAP that requires that.
No, there's not. The auditing firm is responsible, as John referenced, to making sure that there is, as he says, a fresh set of eyes and transitions on the team that are doing the audits. So they have consistently done that and provided quality service. So there is no reason, in my opinion, to go out for bid. Questions? Otherwise,
Last time I went out to bid, how many responded? Do you remember offhand?
We sent it out to 7 firms, I believe, that were in the area. We had 2 or 3 responses, and we interviewed those 2 or 3 finalists, and the selection was made to go with because of the scope of conduct, what the fieldwork team was going to be, the capability of the firm were all measurables in there, along with the cost.
You said we did this 3 years ago. Who on the board was part of that interview process?
I think Stacey was treasurer at that point. She was in on that team along with the administrative members.
So it's just one board member. Thank you.
move to approve the letter of engagement with Baker Tilly US LLP to serve as independent accountants for the Pewaukee School District through fiscal year 2028.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
on to the consideration of additional capital projects.
Yeah, I think this was foreshadowed a little bit in Matt's presentation earlier from the Budget and Finance Committee, and John will take the bull by the horns here, along with John Snagler. Did you hurt yourself?
All good.
Oh, maybe just sitting, you got a little, looked like you had a little hitch in your giddy up and go there.
So, thanks. So throughout this project, each quarter we have come back to the board and give progress updates, and also every month we have given progress updates to the Business Affairs Committee for the projects. As we established the questions, going back almost 3 years ago, looking at that, Wisconsin, under Wisconsin statutes and under the issuance, the rules for issuing tax exempt debt, we have to be very, very finite on what we're going to accomplish with the proceeds of the project, which is why we identified the original projects, the CTE work that's being done, the work on the HVAC systems in the high school, from the air handlers to rooftops, the work that's projected for Horizon for flooring replacement, the solar project, and and the 2 roofing projects at Horizon and PLE. Identified those specifically. We also identified that the scope can include, and this is historically what the district has done, items that are identified in the long-range capital projects plan, if we're able to generate through the scope of work, through the construction of the projects, proceeds that would remain at the end of the project. We brought the initial proposal to you back last summer for some really long lead time items that we knew we needed to get out way in front, and that we were likely going to be able to afford to accomplish at the end of this project. That was replacing the turf on the football field, replacing the track or resurfacing the track, and work at Horizon on construction to move that makerspace theme down into Horizon Elementary also. The initial projected scope on those projects was about $1.3 million. As Matt mentioned, after that work is completed and all of the other work on the projects that have already been bid out or are close to finalizing a contract on, we're anticipating about $1.4 million that could also be used to address projects on that long-term capital projects plan. So what do we do as a team? We look at the long-term capital projects plan that you were presented with in December, and we identify what are the highest likelihood projects that would need to be completed over the next 5-year period. Because those projects, they're going to be there, they're highly likely that they will need to be completed, and you will be borrowing funds to do it. If you borrow funds without going to referendum, you're doing it within the revenue limit, so you have to reduce costs in your operating budget to be able to pay the debt service back on those projects. So following that same philosophy we've used for the last 4 questions that have passed through, we try to get that jump start. Again, that's the board's fiduciary responsibility to the community, that we're going to take care of the facilities that we have, and we're going to enhance the program where we have the ability to do it. Looking at that, we've come up with a list of the 7 additional projects to complete with some of the remaining proceeds. And if you have any specific questions about the projects, John is here. But some of them are life cycle that are coming up. For instance, in the auditorium, the lighting in the house lighting in the auditorium is getting on. It's hard to believe that referendum, that work was completed in 2011, 2012. It's already hitting its useful life on a lot of those electrical systems, on the lighting systems that are in there, along with the soundboard and the projector system that's in there. Getting parts for that as it breaks is becoming really challenging, as that system is no longer supported, and the replacement of that. The culinary room at ASA was the one area that was not touched in the 2018 referendum. Still has the original flooring in there, which now is reaching end of useful life. It was built in 1992. So that is reaching, along with the cabinets and the casework and the presentation space, to be able to update those elements of that space. Going along with the HVAC work that we did, and trying to reduce our operating costs as much as we can so that we can reinvest those dollars back into the instructional program in the district. We're recommending the next phase of the or of the operating systems and mechanical systems in the building, which is moving from a technology that has now been in place for 20 years in our building, our heating plant, to replacing 2 of the boilers. So moving away from burning electricity to reheat to using boiler heat, which is more cost effective at this time, and replacing 2 of those. We have 2 sections of roof that are remaining. We pointed those out at the meeting in December at PLE, the ones above district office in that area, that are scheduled in 2027 or 2028 at the end of their useful life to complete those. We've talked from a safety perspective multiple times with expansion of parking areas within the campus. More recently, in creating a greater emphasis on this from a safety perspective, with our 4K programming and the demand with parents for wraparound care, we've had wait list for our wraparound care partner. A year ago, we added a second section or a second room of wraparound care, which has increased the number of the amount of traffic that is coming around behind the district office. So from a safety standpoint, we want to move some of the regular parking in the traffic away from there so that parents are coming in to drop off in that secure entryway are not conflicting with cars coming in out at peak times in the morning when staff members are showing up in the building. In order to do that, we're proposing, this is going back 12 years ago, we looked at expanding the parking lot out in front of the district office. There's roughly 14 stalls out there right now. Believe that we can fit somewhere around 20 to 22 more stalls in that area and expand that parking out into there. So that's another one of the projects, and let's see, 2 more smaller ones. Again, the message board out front, again, going on 15 years old with the electronics in there and just the capabilities that we have on there, looking to replace that and update the message board when you first come onto the campus. And finally, it's going on 25 to 30 years already, the carpeting in the district office. That was part of a renovation in 2000, in 1999 and 2000, when the district office was moved out of what used to be rooms right here over to the Pewaukee Lake Elementary into what was the gym or library in that space. That is at the end of its useful life. So the scope would include the replacement of that. All of those projects combined come to just here over $1 million of anticipated cost, which would still leave a surplus. At that point, you have the choice of that surplus. If you close out the entire capital project, close out the referendum project, whatever surplus is remaining at the end of it, you revert back to Fund 39, to the debt service fund. So it offsets future debt service cost in the district. Or you would have the option if there were other smaller projects that needed to be done. But we feel really comfortable that that these projects, in conjunction with everything else that's been done in this project, puts us in a very good space. I can't say nothing will happen because you don't know what could happen, but puts us in a very good place from a known life cycle replacement, safety, and mechanical systems operating in the district for the next 5 to 6 years. So, any questions?
Those 7 projects total what?
About $1 million, budget-wise, about $1,068,000.
Our current debt service is what?
Total?
Yes, what is our total current debt service?
Total outstanding principal as of June 30th of 25 was $54,700,000 principal. Debt service will be all paid off in the district by 2035 is the last scheduled payment.
Questions? Otherwise, we need a motion.
I move to approve the completion of the 7 recommended projects from the long-term capital projects plan as presented by Mr. Gahan.
Second.
I would like to make a motion, and I should have done it before you. To put, so however you want to do it, but the motion would be to put the entirety of that to the debt service.
So just one point of order on that. The completion of the projects is a point where you can designate. Right now, there's outstanding costs that are probably going to run through September for projects. Upon completion of all the projects is where the final accounting of what's remaining would be transferred to the debt service fund.
The projects you're referring to are the ones that are ongoing right now, not the 7 you listed.
Correct.
So would it be more appropriate to wait till we have that number even to do the 7?
John, you want to talk about the timing implications?
Yeah, I think the question comes down to, so, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, the question would come down to, do we commit to doing these 7 projects now and taking proceeds that are remaining at the end of that and moving them to debt service? Or do we not do the 7 and you're making a motion to just take whatever remains at the end of the project that we stop with the scope right now and take whatever remains at the end of the project and move that to debt service?
Correct.
And that would be determined at closure.
Correct.
We have authorization to spend that money because of the way that we proposed the referendum that's out there. The other thing is, this is maintaining the facilities that we have. And as I will tell you, as a taxpayer in the city village in Pewaukee for well over 30 years, maintaining our facilities is job one. I mean, I've seen other school districts where they've let their facilities basically deteriorate to the point where they either have to close the buildings or they get condemned because there's leaky roofs, there's other things that are going on. So yes, indeed, you can save money in the short term, but what John does in terms of maintaining our facilities here, it keeps these buildings in great shape for our students and for the community. It's an investment that they've made, and it's our duty and responsibility as a board to make sure that those investments are well maintained, just like at your house. I mean, if you don't replace the roof, if you don't do things in terms of maintaining your facility, your house, you're gonna lose a lot of money in the long run. So that's my take on it, and that's why I appreciate what John and John do to maintain our facilities and our grounds here for all sorts of reasons that are out there. So that's my bias, so,
So we have a motion and a second,
yes, we do.
and we have a second motion. Is anybody?
Well, we need to vote on the first one first.
Well, there's no second on this.
But that was my, is anybody
The first one?
seconding?
No, the second one.
Mary's
There's
motion.
no
Oh, so
second on
it died
the
then,
motion.
it died in terms of what's there, there's
Okay.
nothing there, so.
So, all those in favor of the move to complete the 7 recommended projects? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
John, I want to thank you for the timing of your retirement, although I don't like it, that you are leaving the school district in a position, and I hope, John, you agree with that, that we're going to be left in a position secure with these facilities and the plans that have been made and laid out. So I appreciate all the work you do on that.
Sure that's not a typo on the,
Can we change it real quick? I mean, we're not personnel, you're burying the lead here, Stacey.
Sorry.
so moving into the personnel summary, we have 3 retirements.
We have 3 retirements.
Sadly.
I
Sadly,
recommend
we
you
have
reject
3.
one of them. So I can jump in and say, so there's no resignations. We have 3 retirements of some really great employees. First is Robin Wilson. Robin Wilson was originally hired as the principal at Pewaukee Lake Elementary School, and most recently has been working in the district office as our director of learning and academic coaching. She's the probably most responsible person for our thriving thematic 4K program. So Robin's had a great 12-year run, I believe it is, in the Pewaukee School District. So with thanks for her service, I would seek your approval of her retirement.
I want to emphasize the appreciation that this board has for the work that she did, especially in that 4K program. That is just such a feature of our school district now. And I know there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that lady put in, as well as many others, but I just really appreciate her leadership in that.
So I move to accept the retirement of Robin Wilson as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, another longtime employee, Mike Murphy. Mike is our network engineer. So 26 years, I think it is, of running our entire network system across the district with a great team, of course, behind him to do that. So we really have a very secure network. We, knocking on everything here, we haven't had issues with ransomware and those kinds of things, which can happen anywhere. So it's been very secure. The functionality is fantastic. Mike's been here through everything, the evolution of one-to-one devices, massive expansion of our of the fleet of devices that we have with students. One thing you'll notice, and we can talk a little bit more about this when we go to the closed session, but Mike originally had put in to have his retirement effective January 30th. I've worked with him on that piece to have his retirement be effective April 3rd. I appreciate Mike working with us on that because this is a really critical position. We need some time to get a replacement here and have some transition. So again, with thanks for his service, I would seek your approval of the retirement of Mike Murphy, and that would be, his last day would be April 3rd.
He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz to me. I don't know if he walked in this room, if I'd know what he looked like I'd recognize him, but I know how much work he's done. So there's just a lot of gratitude to him too.
I move to accept the retirement of Michael Murphy effective April 3rd, 2026. And again, we appreciate his many, many years of service here.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I don't think we have any others.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Mary. John Gahan, you see John's letter. There's been a number of points, and I appreciate Stacey's comments. I really like what John said here. He inherited the district being in really good shape, and it's in even better shape. This is a model district in terms of how it's managed fiscally. I remember walking out the door with Mike Clerk from Baird, I don't know, probably 7 months ago, and him talking, knowing that this was eventually coming. Mike Clerk, who works with districts everywhere in Wisconsin, talked about this is going to be a really attractive position because of the condition that it's in. That I think we're going to get really strong people who are going to want to pick up the torch from John. But that is a testament to him. John's been. He just had the highest recognition from WASBO as a Wally's Astro award winner. He was the business manager of the year. He's been president of his state association. He teaches for UW Whitewater in the program, training other business managers, whether it's the facilities that are in such tremendous shape for a long time to come, innovative approaches to managing things like debt service, to moving us first into a co-op with our health insurance to save this district a bunch of cost, and then having the foresight to say that's not cutting it anymore, move us into a self-funded model, and to something that has really been the key driver as we've dealing currently with structural deficits. And that's because of his willingness to take those things on and his expertise and his innovation in doing those things. So, with tremendous thanks for his service, I'm sorry to ask for your approval to accept John's request to retire and spend more time being a grandpa here, June 30th of 2026.
Despite my cajoling and threats and everything that I've given him over the last couple of years, and with reluctance, I move to approve the retirement of John Gahan as Assistant Superintendent and CFO.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Kept telling him he could pull it at the last minute. It was even long lead in to say, you know, for him to maybe hit the tap out button, but he wouldn't do it, darn it.
I was gonna make it contingent upon the parking.
We have no employments and no leave of absence requests.
So moving on to review of upcoming activities. So there is the WASB conference, January 21st through the 23rd. Wednesday, January 21st, there's the WASB Delegate Assembly from 1:30 to 3:30, and Larry will be there as our delegate. Thank you, Larry. Friday, the 23rd, assuming that you guys are presenting.
Yeah, we're presenting.
The AI, leveraging AI for teacher evaluation curriculum review. Monday, February 9th will be our next board meeting. We'll have business affairs at 6 and our regular board meeting at 7. Monday, February 23rd, we will have our 6 p.m. policy committee meeting and 7 p.m. regular board meeting. And our next meeting will be March 9th. We'll have our 6 p.m. business affairs meeting and a 7 p.m. board meeting. Monday, April 13th, we will have oath of office for new board members, and we'll have 6 p.m. business affairs and 7 p.m. regular board meeting. And then Monday, April 27th, we will have a policy committee meeting at 6 and a 7 p.m. regular board meeting.
Just a note that the March 9th meeting, because we want to get some work out of him before he's gone, John will be running the meeting. Anthony and I will be at a conference.
And I will be virtual probably that night too, or maybe not be able to attend, so.
Go easy on him.
If it's typical when John runs the meeting, it'll be one of the fastest meetings of the year. That always seems to be the case.
Any legislative updates?
I do not have any legislative update. John, anything? Larry, anything popping
Well, they've
right
been
now?
holding some hearings, but I
Yeah.
don't think anything has moved out of those just yet, so.
And we do have an SWSA meeting
Right.
tomorrow morning, so we'll hear if there's anything new there.
To look at setting the meeting date for the 2026 annual meeting. So we have all of our August Mondays listed. I know when I had talked to Bren, we were talking about the possibility of the 17th. This is kind of in the middle of the month. What everybody's thoughts are on that?
This is just for reference purposes, if I looked it up correctly. So in 2023, our meeting was on August 21st. On the 2024, it was on August 12th, and in 2025, it was on August 18th. So kind of that middle of the month seems like it might be in that range, so.
I have a potential trip, but it's not booked yet. The 10th would be safer for me, but it's not booked yet, so it's not, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know for sure that I'm going.
Right.
So I don't know if you want to give it that much weight, but the 10th would be safer for me.
If we want people to attend, would it not be more useful to put it closer to the start of school? Stacey's a good case in point. People are not around on the 17th. As a general rule.
If I take the trip, it's to Buenos Aires, and it's gonna be 10 to 12 days, and it'll be the second half of the month. So the 24th could be at risk as well. The 31st, probably not so much, but
But the 10th would work for you, right?
the 10th is the safest date, third or 10th, but if you wanna try and push it later as possible, the 10th is better.
I mean, we had it on the 12th once before, so. 10th, going once, going twice.
And I apologize if I set that date and then I don't take the trip, but.
It's okay.
I think the only conflict for me is becoming back potentially. I don't know what date, if it's going to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday-ish,
9th or
like
8th or
that,
9th.
right around the 10th. So that's my only, I guess, hang up on the 10th.
Well, we have set it and changed it.
Yeah.
True.
Before,
True.
so
We know you're not,
I'm not for sure, so if you're for sure, maybe we go to the 17th.
I know it worked for Bren too, the
Okay.
17th.
Why don't we do that?
And I don't know what, like Travis or Mary. If you have any conflicts.
Move to.
Sure.
Whatever it is. Set the meeting of the date of the annual meeting for August 17th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Oppose.
Any comments from citizens? Tammy?
No comments from citizens.
Okay.
You got it? Let me do
What's that?
it. Closed session.
Oh, yeah. So, closed session, so I move to go into closed session in accordance with state statute 19.851, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility.
I believe we have to do a roll call vote.
We have to do
correct?
roll call, yeah.
Okay. So Stacey?
Yes.
Do you have
Larry?
a second?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
that's-
we need a second.
Sorry.
Second.
Travis, okay.
And do we need to specify, that's the statute that you read out? Do we specify exactly what we're doing?
I think you just need to read the statute as to the reason for it. That's all I think you have to do in the motion is reference the statute.
So we don't need to tell the public why we're going into private,
I mean, other than what's required in the statute as it's written. That's why it's that specific statute and section is provided.
It is related to the, among the items that are referenced in the statute.
Okay. So back to our roll call vote. So Stacey?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Travis?
Yes.
Mary?
No.
Melanie, we should be coming back. I wouldn't anticipate it being real long. The board may take action and would then adjourn and.
retirement incentives.
Wait. She's gotta get us on the live stream.
Oh, sorry. You ready? Okay. I move to approve the recommended early retirement incentives for all employees included in the 3 eligible classes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.